We're going to talk about a winning cybersecurity strategy, and this is going to be a very interesting panel that we got here. We've got Hugo, Miguel, and Matteo from Palo Alto, who's going to take us through some of the things about cybersecurity. It's actually for Deloitte, one of our biggest growing businesses. That's not necessarily a good thing for everyone in the world of cyber, but it's very good for us, and we've got some fairly innovative things that we're going to talk about. But just before we get going, I think putting things into a certain amount of context of some of the problems that have happened in various clubs, stadiums, and situations in the past, and just two that have come up in the last couple of years. One with Manchester United, who have been hacked, and there's as you can see there in the headlines, a certain amount of disruption. Also, the Dutch FA was hacked and actually had to pay a ransom to get out of it. So these are real issues, and this was actually only just a few weeks ago. And then just to set the scene a little bit more, this is more of a colourful story, but a bit of a more light-hearted story, but equally very interesting. And there's a podcast, there's a documentary about all of this, and it's a very long story. So I do recommend that you dig it out because it's very interesting. I listened to it not long ago in the gym, which is a great way of passing the time. But this is about Alejandro Agustin Lopez, and a Honduran footballer, one of those footballers that always thinks they're going to end up in Europe somewhere, would like to have a great career, but was pretty much a journeyman footballer. Then some young kid sitting in their house in the middle of England decided what would happen if we changed his Wikipedia page. Actually increase the number of appearances that he's had for his club and for Honduras, and give him a bit of a better profile. So they changed his profile, and all of a sudden there was a little bit more interest related to this young kid, and a lot of clubs got interested. Maybe this should be the guy that comes over to Europe. So to cut a long story short, he was actually nicknamed by the journalist the Honduran Maradona, and that name actually stuck. And then a number of clubs started to try and sign him. And obviously, he's a reasonably good footballer, but he's not that good. And this story went on for a number of years. And in the podcast that you can listen to, eventually the journalist had to come clean and say he actually only managed to get this footballer to come over to Europe and to be interested by so many clubs because he'd been hacked. He'd been hacked on the Wikipedia page. He actually thought he was going to get beaten up by the footballer saying, "You've destroyed me," but actually he was pretty grateful because he probably wouldn't have got into that position if he hadn't been hacked. So it's a bit of a light-hearted story, but it just shows you what you can do with hacking and why cybersecurity is so important. And then lastly, this is fairly close to my heart, and this is a serious story. Everyone will have seen what happened in Paris last year at the Champions League. I was there with my 79-year-old father, who's not quite as agile as he was, and quite honestly, it was pretty scary. We were funneled into a passageway under a motorway where there'd been a lot of people coming in from behind. Being so tall, I could see as many people in front that were going nowhere. And having been in a tragedy in 1989 in England, it was pretty scary. And the organisation for that game has been criticised in all of the press, and UEFA, the police, everyone has come out of it badly. So it's just another way saying you need to be organized. You need to plan ahead, and cybersecurity is one of the most important things. And if you don't get your cybersecurity plan right, then everything else falls by the wayside. So I'm going to pass over to the guys who know a lot more about this than I do. These are the cracks in the business. If you haven't seen the stand outside, there's still time to go and see it after this presentation, and I would highly recommend it. So I'll pass over to you, Hugo.
Thank you very much, Simon. Let me start asking you one question. Would you buy a car without basic safety feature like airbag, for example, or any other basic security feature, to save just a couple of thousands of euros? I hope that the answer is no. So, in the same way, why cybersecurity shouldn't be seen as a cost? Because it's part of the final product that the clients, your stakeholders, are expecting to be included in every product. So why a winning cybersecurity strategy is needed for the business? First of all, it's about regulatory compliance. Right now, there are lots of different requirements, regulatory requirements. GDPR is one example of this, that requires you to have a proper security monitoring and controls in place to avoid any kind of fines. It's also about how you protect your critical infrastructure. In football club business, critical infrastructure, of course, is the venue, the stadium, but also the headquarters, the main offices of the club. And how we are protecting those critical infrastructure with ransomware is one of the key aspects. Now that clubs are evolving and moving to a digital transformation, it's also very critical to anticipate those risks and be prepared to the new technologies. But of course, there is an impact in an increase in productivity. The less controls that you establish and the more efficient that you have those controls in place will definitely boost the productivity on the teams. Cost reduction is another important factor, and how you measure the return of investment of any new cybersecurity plans and activities that you have in place. Protecting the critical systems and also the data, all the information systems that you have in the environment is another important aspect. And this is a critical part of the football clubs. How you protect sensitive data, how you protect the contracts, medical data of the different clubs is very important. Also about continuity, business continuity, how you avoid disruption on the business. And ransomware attack is one of the key factors that could affect running your business as expected. And last but not least, is about reputation damage. The protection of the brand for a football club is something very important, and we need to take care of this. So, where do we start right now? The first step is about identifying the critical assets of the football club. We are going to show you what do we think, in a general view, what are the critical assets, and how you connect those critical assets to the business process in order to protect them. You can defend something that you don't see or understand. That's the important thing that we need to take into consideration. So let me walk you through a little bit around the critical assets. Sensitive data. As I explained to you before, contracts, medical data, all the information, all the data that you have, both on-premise but also on the cloud, and how you protect them. The club website, how you protect one of your main assets that you have exposed to the internet is the club website, where you are managing your ticketing and your merchandising. It's also about how you protect the VIPs, how you protect the executives, but also the football players. How you protect the brand of those people, but also the devices, mobile devices, laptops, club reputation, and of course, everything related to digital transformation, cloud IT infrastructure, and a smart stadium. The reason why Deloitte is here in the World Football Summit is because we are going to put the focus on ransomware, thanks to Miguel Olias, that is going to explain us more details around the ransomware attacks, but also thanks to Palo Alto, this is the reason why cloud IT environments need appropriate protection. And of course, we will be more than happy to host you in the stand number 6, where we are showing how we are protecting the smart stadiums. And here you can find the different risks that are facing those critical assets and how they are mapped each other. Of course, the impact of those risks on the assets, as you can see here, we have economic sanction, financial losses, disruption on the operations, loss of the critical data. But the important thing is that this kind of strategies, this kind of assets and risk maps needs to be tailored to every single club. So that's the reason we need to establish this kind of map where we define the likelihood and the impact on the risk, and this may change depending on the football club. Now, Miguel.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hugo. Ransomware. Ransomware is the real cyber threat that really concerns all of us. Clubs, providers, and us. People like us, like people who work in the industry in cybersecurity, ransomware is like the top of the threats, and I'm going to explain why. We are talking about something that cost more or less around $2 million in terms of cost remediation. Also, we need to keep in mind that the average to have all your systems without activity, because all your devices are completely blocked, are around 3 weeks. Can you imagine to manage your business without your data, your devices, for 3 weeks? So this is a reality. We are talking about a threat which some years ago was the number 13 in the threat landscape, and right now is the number 1. It's the number 1 because it's affecting a lot, and as Hugo showed us, it's a threat that is the threat that have the most impact and is really likely to occur. And I'm talking all the time that it's an industry, and it's an industry, a criminal industry, because move a lot of money. We are talking about 20 billion per year, and we expect more or less in 5-6 years to reach more than 200 billion. It's a really profitable business, definitely. And also, it's something that happens every week. We can see it in all the news. For instance, we have some examples here. One of them really recent that occurs here in Seville, in the city council. And this ransomware, the attackers ransom around 5 million. And they have for 2 weeks to recover all the devices. So it's really critical, really critical. Let me to explain you how this industry evolved from some years ago. Some years ago, we have a standard model when you have a single alone attacker who has to develop their own code of malware to get access to the company and then run the attack. Right now, there's no more. This is an industry where there are different actors. First of all, we have the developers, cyber criminal organizations who are really focused on develop the best perform code of malware. Then we have the brokers access, people who access to the company and give you access for a amount of money. And in the middle, you have the affiliates. Affiliates are the organization who buy the code, get access through the brokers, and run the attack. As we can see, thanks to this model, the attackers maximize their profits. And it's really easy for them to get success. And this is the reason why it's really, really concerning this. And finally, in order to get an image about how much is this industry about, related with the ransomware, we can buy a piece of ransomware from $50. So it's really, really, really cheap. It's like every single sector where you have a lot of different actors competing and collaborating each other, you have things like this. What happens when you receive a ransomware in your organization? So we need to keep in mind that when the attackers are in your company, it's only take around 40 minutes to run the ransomware spread for all your devices. First of all, you are going to receive, you are going to have all your devices blocked. And you are going to interrupt your business process. And you are going to receive an email, ransom you how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 millions. Then, once you decide I'm not going to pay, you are going to suddenly discover that your more critical information from medical reports from your players, information about your negotiations, your secrets, all of this is out of your company. And if you decide not to pay, you are going to receive a second email telling you, OK, I have this information, and if you not pay, you are going to have this information out. We are going to make it public. And then, of all of that, at the end of all of that, they are starting to contact with your clients, your fans, your stakeholders, announce that they have all of this information. And when this occurs, you have other kind of impacts, not only money. You're going to have reputation impact, you are going to have penalties, issues about compliance. So it's a nightmare for every single company. This is really recent. This Sunday, when I was preparing this keynote, I discovered that one of the most famous group, Lockbit, announced that to all their affiliate network that from now they claim the ransom should be no less than 3% of the revenue of the company. Why? Because new actors are making a really big discounts. So they want to get more money and put this figure announced for everybody. And we are going to see for the next months, for sure, that how this ransomware figure is going to increase. What is the overview in this sector? The main challenge that we see, as we don't have too many time, I'm going to explain some of them. First of all, we are observing that there is a huge gap between the most famous clubs and the rest of them in terms of cybersecurity, for sure. Also, we are seeing that it's really easy for the attacker to spoof the identity of, for instance, a representative of one player, and the player two, and it's really hard for them to identify that it's a spoofing and it's not the real person that you are talking about. Also, things related with information leakage, and also in this sector, in comparison with other sectors, we see that it's a sector a little more reactive than others, and this is an opportunity to improve definitely for all this business. What else that I think is really important is with all related with smart stadiums, the top of the clubs are including all kind of IoT devices in this smart stadium, and it's time to monitor them in order to prevent these attacks also in the smart stadium. I have some piece of advice about how we can have success with all of these challenges. We can observe some of them. First of all, is to deploy a cyber strategy where, as Hugo tells us, the business process and the assets are in the middle, are in the center, and then once you identify what is the most important, your crown jewels, you are in the position to identify risk and then put the control in place, but not first, no at the beginning. Then, as I said that the ransomware is the more concerning issue that the company had to fight against, we need some solution like SDR, and SDR is one of the pillars to prevent and detect really early this kind of ransomware attacks. Also, it's necessary to deploy technology specifically for detect and prevent data leakage, and be sure that all the rules, all the customization of these solutions represents the reality of your company, of your business. And also, I really would like to talk about simulations. I see a lot of different committees where we present a cyber incident scenario in different levels, to management, tactical level, and operation level. And with this kind of exercise, we have the opportunity to live a real ransomware, why not, and see how the organization respond and mitigate this kind of attacks, and identify the gaps, see if the procedures, the plans, the control in place are working as we think. And with this kind of exercise, we also can get more awareness in all the company in terms of cybersecurity. So now, Mateo, it's your time. It's time to see how Palo Alto have also solutions to specifically tackle all the challenges that I mentioned in my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today in the World Football Summit. I'm Matteo Fiorentini, working in Palo Alto Networks in the sector of cloud security. And today we will look at my biggest passion, football and cybersecurity together. We continue the discussion that we already started with Miguel and Hugo about how to have a winning strategy in cybersecurity to don't let the hackers score a goal. So we already see many of the challenges with Miguel, ransomware, data breach, and compliance. So I'm going to jump this slide because we already talked about it. But as in football, also in digital life, we need the best defense against the stronger attackers. It's key. It's really key. We see this photo. It's a famous photo, iconic photo from Cannavaro and Maldini tackling Ronaldo. The attackers are getting stronger. The percentile of ransomware is getting bigger. Data breaches are every day more common, and complex compliance rules are getting the normal day. That's why I would like to introduce to you today the best lineup on cybersecurity in the world. Palo Alto Networks is the leader in cybersecurity for a reason, because it can help you covering a lot of cybersecurity needs. Starting from our number 3, left wing, network security with our solution Strata and Prisma SASE, that is the best-in-class security to deliver across hardware, software, and SASE. In the same time, our center back, Prisma Cloud, that is cloud security to secure everything that runs in the cloud, public, hybrid, and multi-cloud. And our right wing, Cortex, that is a security operations solution that helps us renovate the view of the SOC team and defeat the ransomware that Miguel was talking about. Super important to defeat it on the same way the attackers attack us with automation and machine learning. And our goalkeeper, the Uni42, a cyber advisor that is collaborating with FBI. This is the way Palo Alto can help you cybersecurity, all your organization, starting from network, endpoints, and also the person moving to the cloud. Today with me, we have a proper look into Prisma Cloud. When we're talking about Prisma Cloud, we are talking about a solution that can help you secure everything that runs in the cloud, hybrid, multi-cloud. And to have a better look, it's important to understand that what we are seeing is that applications are the heart of the digital transformation that Miguel was talking about. That's why it's important to understand that these applications are running to hybrid, multi-cloud, private cloud, and they need a way to face this migration to the cloud. Usually, we face it in 2 different ways. The classic lift and shift. So we take what we have in our data center and we move it up on the cloud. Or with a more modern approach that is cloud native, where we create our application directly in a cloud environment. What we are seeing for the future is the 75% of the case, we're going to have the public cloud as a primary platform. And with the arrival of AI, we will have an acceleration of our software. That is great, but at the same time, it's bringing us some challenges, as we see a 40% growth on insecure code with the use of artificial intelligence. And the ratio between the developers and the security team is getting bigger and bigger. Most of the organizations I speak with will have 10 developers and 1 security team. That is not possible. That is complicated. The training of the developer goes so fast that the security team cannot reach. So let's have a better look inside the application lifecycle. It's important to understand that from Palo Alto, we have recognized 3 different stages. The first stage of code and build, better say, that is the starting, the creation of the code, where the developers assemble the code with open source. The second stage, that is infrastructure cloud, that is deployment side, where we're packaging this repository. And the third stage, that is runtime, where we go operational already, most of the time on hybrid or multi-cloud. If you look into the slide, we see different red points. These are all risks that we can find during the lifecycle of application. Risks that can be infrastructure as a code insecure, malware in our images, data breaches of too many permissions in the cloud. So the industry reply to these challenges, address these challenges with point products. When we're speaking about point products, let's think about it this way. We have at least 12 different solutions to cover each use case, solutions that don't integrate, solutions that give gaps, solution that is just opening the door to the attackers to breach us. It's impossible to manage in the cost way and also in the team way, because if you think we have 10 developers and 1 security team, it's going to be impossible. That's why Palo Alto have invested a lot in the last 5 years to create 1 single platform to cover everything from the creation of the code all the way to runtime. It's not just about visibility. Security is not visibility. Security is visibility and prevention. If you look into the slide, we understand that the creation of the code, 1 misconfiguration in creation of the code can bring us to 100 of alerts in deployment and 1,000 of alerts in runtime. So it's important to shift left, I would say, in the history. So we can clean the code in the beginning to reach production with less issue. Because if you think back, 10 developers, 1 security team. We need to create a bridge. And we do it with this application. At the same time, we can search and investigate. We can help the security team to prioritize the most important risks. And with the help of artificial intelligence, with our copilot, we can help reduce the risk attack and knowing where to prioritize our risks. Now, it would be great now to have a look inside the use case. We've been called from the Supreme Commit to help. We have a big mission. We all know the World Cup 2022 was a big challenge, a big mission for the Supreme Commit for delivery and legacy safeguards on this tournament. The organization size was massive. We're speaking about 8 stadiums, 1.5 million visitors, 5 billion watching online, and we have a few challenges. The biggest challenge was we need a stadium and user experience management system that can scale up and resist the spike of visitors, and at the same time scale down once the World Cup was done. So the only transformation we could find was, of course, using cloud container-based application. But these, as we told before, bring risks. So which one was the more risk perspective for this customer was that they need a platform that can integrate through the network, workload, and endpoints. That's why they decided to go with Palo Alto, because I will see we have the best lineup of cybersecurity in the world. We can cover each of this sector. And they're using Cortex to speak to each other. At the same time, as they create a Kubernetes and containers environment, they use Prisma Cloud to protect an ES, virtual machine, and PaaS, platform as a service, on the Kubernetes side for cloud analysis and prevent the threats before they even happen. So this is what we did with Palo Alto, how we helped the biggest event in the world with the cybersecurity on the World Cup of Qatar 2022. And now there is a small call to action. If you think, or you don't know, if your cloud is protected, I'll leave here a QR code. You can scan it, and you can receive a report of risk assessment for free, where you can actually understand how is your environment at this day. Thank you so much.